we start with an entry and an attami. That's the normal practice. Now the entry could be from on stage or it could be from the wings. And the attami, usually Sundari Griva is used, but then there is also other Grivas that can be used to ornament the opening of a composition. So you have an entry that can be brisk, an entry that can be, can have leaps, depending on the imagination of the composer, dance composer. It will have to adhere to the way the syllables have been strung together in melody and the pace of the composition. So I'd like to show just a small demonstration of Purna Chandrika Tillana. That will have the entry and the attami. Composition of Puchi Srinivasa Iyengar in Adi Talam, Purna Chandrika Raga.
Tom tom da 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 tom tom da 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 tom da 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 ni da 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 ni tom tom da 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 ni tom da 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 ni da 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 ni tom tom da 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 ni tom da 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 ni da 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 ni tom tom da 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 ni tom da 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 ni da 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 ni tom tom da 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 tom tom da 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 ni tom tom da da da
Thank you. If you noticed, we used not just the Sundari Griva, we used the other Grivas as well. One or two of the others. Okay. There are 4 Griva Vedas. Then you have the entry, you have the attami. So this is the beginning. Then we go to the Meyyadavu. Now Meyyadavu is taken as the movement of the body, but the body moves in all the korves as well, isn't it? So what is different about the Meyyadavus? You don't have the kind of rhythmic patterns, intricate perhaps rhythmic patterns that you have in korves. And also there are movements that are soundless, like the movements of the hands sometimes, where the body is still and the hands are moved. So the Meyyadavu is more about creating patterns with the body rather than playing with rhythm. There is rhythm, of course, but the stress is on the usage of the body creating patterns. Okay? Dr. Balasaraswati's style of dance of Bharatanatyam, they call it the Poyyadavu, according to Srimati Nandini Ramani. And the reason she gives is it is not apparent. There is no rhythm that is apparent. The movement is on the outside, the rhythm is inside. So, and it's not therefore it's called a Poyyadavu, something that is not apparent. And she also said that you have, along after the Poi, you have Gettu Adavu. And this is not like the korves where you use your entire body, but the Gettu Adavu are rhythmic patterns that are performed by the dancer, holding her hands on her hips, or I think where your upper body is stable, and you create rhythmic patterns with your feet, but to the Pallavi structure. Because you have rhythmic interludes that don't have the Pallavi like a Saval Jawab. But in Getta Adavu, you have the Pallavi refrain being sung, and you have rhythmic patterns only with the feet. That's the Getta Adavu. Today we'll see the Mei Adavu. Again, just one or two demonstrations without the music. The Mei, and then to finish it, you'll have like a Muttaipu. You'll have a Muttaipu after the Mei. Now, I want to show you a Tillana Meyadavu from my Vadyar's composition. He was, one of his favorite Tillanas was Shri Lalgudi Jayaraman's Tillana. I'm using that as a reference point, but just to show the Meyadavu, I'm using the Tillana of Lalgudi Mama as a reference for the Meyadavu that is very commonly used in my Vadyar style, which comes from the Varu Ramya Pillai style. Tillana Aditalam, composed by. I just want to, here you'll have the Mei, we're doing the Mei, right? Mei, and then you'll have the ending. Note the ending, and it will finish with a pose. These were all hallmarks of the Varur style, where giving sculpturous poses to create a relief both for the eye, the mind, and for the dancer. It created an image in the mind of the audience also. So it ends with a pose. Also, we haven't done it. I mean, I have not learnt it. But even nadayas were used to create a relief. Like after you finish the Meyadavu, there would be a circular movement, a nadaya that is used, and the dancer would go to the back of the stage, showing her back to the audience, his or her back to the audience, and then turn round and take position again for the next Mei or the Korve. So these were all ornamentations that were not just beautiful, but they also very intelligently created a relief and prepared the scene change for the next Korve or Meyadavu. Okay? So we'll have the Tillana. korvai. After the meyyadavu, you have the korvai. The korvais are, we know, rhythmic patterns that have been strung together. Okay? And now usually what happens is, in the korvais, whether it's 2 or 3 or 4, after you do the korvais, in the end, in certain schools, they will do the panchanadai. But in Dr. Balasaraswati's school of dance, they will use the different jatis in the korvais itself, and in the tattimettu show the jati. So the pancha jatis were used as korvais. So each jati would be a korvai. And they would round it off with the tattimettu, which would be in the same jati. And 2 korvais of my master, my Vadyar. Very typical Vazhavur korvais. So one korvai is the Tishra Jati that is used here. Okay? In the one korvai is a rhythmic sequence. The other one, we'll show the Tishra Jati korvai, which is very commonly used. He used it for almost all Tillanas we did it. Okay? It comes from the Vazhavur Bani. We're going to take the Behag Tillana. This is just to show in the Pallavi, in the korvai, where we can change the emphasis. Okay? Dr. Balamurali Krishna's Tillana, the korvai, but the where it ends changes every time. Okay? So the emphasis on the Pallavi changes.
Tanadirana, 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 tanadirana,
Structure starts with the entry, either from the wings or on stage, and the attami. Then you go to the meyyadavu. The meyyadavu, in certain, it can also have embellishments like poses, and then you have the korves. The korves, now we'll see the panchajati in, yeah. You showed it already? Panchajati in Tilang. We'll just see that. And after this, after the korves, you have the Anupallavi. Then you have the Charana Sahityam. And sometimes after the Sahityam, you have the Anupallavi itself repeated. Or you have Natyam syllables that are interspersed with Swara patterns to create a Charana Swaram. So this is the format. Okay, some schools don't follow or don't do the Sahityam because they believe that the moment you introduce Abhinaya, it brings the pace of the composition down, and therefore to keep it on that high, they don't do the Sahityam. Okay, so we'll see the Panchajati, and then after that we'll demonstrate 2 or 3 Tillanas. I will just give you a brief introduction about each and then throw it open to questions. So this Panchanade is what most of our Tillanas had. It was usually the pattern was like this. I have the thing is, earlier, like when we learnt with my Vadyar, the way they composed or knit the adavas together was according to a certain sensibility. I think Bharatanatyam has had a journey, it has evolved, isn't it? And like even when Apoorva and Shweta do the same adavas that my Vadyar used to teach, their bodies interpret it differently because the way the training has changed, and also they're a product of today's cultural atmosphere. So the way we executed the adavas was different. Today, the same adava executed by them looks different. So, as is everywhere, change happens, and it's inevitable. The way today dancers compose Tillanas, I think we all have a tendency to cut the adavu, isn't it? You don't use the adavu in full. Rather, you go with the movement of the melody, and if that leads you from half the adavu to another movement, that's what we do, isn't it? Now, as long as it's aesthetic, and aesthetics again is a huge ocean, but as long as it doesn't jar, and I think that if your the way you compose is rooted in solid training and understanding of both the structure, rhythmic structure and the melodic structure, I think something pleasing will definitely come out of it. Finish with the Kalinga Nartanam. Kalinga Nartanam is again you have the shollu of the Tillanas, that are associated with the Tillana composition, but the way the structure is completely not at all like a Tillana, but it's done in the place of a Tillana. Okay, there are compositions like that. For instance, I do a composition in Nalina Kanti, which is like a Shuddha Nrittam, which is like a Taniya Avartanam in the place of a Tillana. Today, in the place of a Tillana, getting inspired by the energy a Tillana exudes, there are different kinds of compositions that are used. And as I told you, Gambhira Natai speaks about the actual the Nartanam of Krishna. So it's a descriptive composition extolling the beauty, the divinity of Krishna as the one who vanquished Kaliya's ego and who danced on his hood. Okay, so that I have done it with as you can do it as a solo or you can do it as a group. They are doing it as a duet. So after this, we'll do the Mand Tillana.
Tam dim taranna tam dim taranna tam dim taranna ram dim taranna ram dim taranna tam dim taranna
Each Vagayakara, they have their own individual stamp, the way they composed, the way they looked at the raga through the Tillana composition. And some compositions were so rich musically and they were more suitable for the stage. Some compositions were very suitable for dance. Some compositions are they realize their potential when they are played in on the instruments. Sri Lalgudi Jayaraman, him being a violinist, I think the way he looked at music was also as from that point of view, right? So he does a lot of what they say Kanaka Varaka in the, I think in the Anupallavi, Pallavi or Anupallavi. What we do, at his, but what I have done is certain movements I try to, I don't take all the sangatis that he uses, because sometimes I find it difficult. It looks like I'm deliberately trying to match the movement, and it looks more forced and contrived rather than natural. So whatever from my imagination and the way the adavus flow in my mind for the sangati, if I'm able to match it, I try it. Okay, so, and I have not followed a pattern of Mei strictly. It's more korva oriented and goes with the melody. Okay, and using sangatis which for me seem appropriate for dance. Okay. The Mandatilana. Thank you very much.